Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am here to talk about Charlie Radtke versus Carlos Prates. My prediction for the fight is Prates wins by knockout, but I have not bet on him because I do have respect for Charlie Radtke's threats in this matchup altogether. And also, I think if he is going to win Prates, it's got to be by knockout. So this is one where I will wait for the props. But Charlie Radtke poses threats to Carlos Prates. I think in this fight, he's going to be playing the role of the grappler. Radtke's the more versatile fighter, even though Carlos Prates definitely has some jiu-jitsu. It is just uh, overshadowed by his striking. The guy is such a dangerous striker. Uh, but I think Charlie Radtke will be the one with the pressure as well. It's slower pressure, not quite, uh, Josh Parisian pressure. He brings a little more speed there, but it's only slow in general because he is more of a power based fighter, Charlie Radtke. And he's got some mean punches, especially his left hook. That's his best weapon, and it will be a threat in this fight. Uh, I think if he lands it on anybody, he can put him out. But if he doesn't land it, he can still use it to corral you into a takedown, which I'm thinking is plan A for Charlie Radtke. I'm assuming he sees the danger in Carlos Prates, even though Prates can be crowded. In the majority of the fights I've seen of Prates, and you know me, I've seen everyone I can get my hands on, he has been crowded. He allows his opponents, they're always kind of leading the dance, and he's typically on the back foot, spends a lot of time defending takedowns against the cage as of late, and he's a guy that can be taken down and roughed up even, but he's got great composure, and he always knows he's got that ace in the hole, meaning he's deadly and he can win the fight like that. If you didn't see me, I snapped my finger. That was a weak snap. I got fucking olive oil on my fingers. But Charlie Radtke is a guy that's only been knocked out once. He was knocked out by Justin Montalvo, who's a local Long Island fighter here. And Montalvo knocked him out with a body shot in a fight that Charlie Radtke was dominating. He was dominating, but he wasn't able to close the show, and Montalvo turned the fight around on a dime. I'm not going to snap again. But he turned the fight around on a dime, and in the middle of his onslaught, the body shot is what took out Charlie Radtke. And Carlos Prates, he's got some good body shots. He is really dangerous on the outside with his kicks, incredibly dangerous. And on the inside, he's probably even more dangerous with his knees. And I think he could be the first guy to crack the chin of Charlie Radtke, but he could definitely be the second guy to crack the body of Charlie Radtke. And I should mention Charlie Radtke's losses. He does have the loss that I talked about to Justin Montalvo, and his two other losses are to Christopher Gonzalez or Chris Gonzalez in Bellator, and Austin Hubbard, who is back in the UFC for the second time. Those were both close enough fights. The Gonzalez fight really wasn't, but in the end, Charlie Radtke won round three and looked really good, defending takedowns that he was not able to defend early on and threatening with submissions down the stretch. He had a good round. And against Austin Hubbard, it was really like a slower, glorified sparring match type of fight. I scored it for Austin Hubbard, but it was one of those Austin Hubbard type of fights. It was, again, a sparring match. I don't think that's a path to victory for Carlos Prates winning a sparring match, but it was mostly contested on the feet, and Austin did, I guess, outpoint him. I don't even know. Pretty dreadful fight altogether. As for Charlie Radtke beating Carlos Prates, look, Prates has been beaten 6 times. He was knocked out twice, technically, but one of them was a leg injury, so it doesn't really count. He injured his leg against the cage, and that's how the fight was stopped. But the other one was a legit TKO, where this guy who reminds me of Marco Madsen swarmed him and just started teeing off on Prates. And Prates, I'm sure the game plan was, let's let this wrestler guy, I think he was a wrestler, just swarm me with his hooks, and I'll tame him with some well-timed knees. And there were a few attempts in there, but really he just got overwhelmed. and he got kind of rocked, but not like where he was sloppy on his feet and about to fall over. He was just taking a beating against the cage and never recovered. And it took a few minutes, but eventually, after however many hundreds of punches he was eating, could have been less, he was finished. And he was younger. He's still young. He's 30 years old. So that loss was in 2017. So he was 23 years old. Not a kid like Raul Rosas Jr., but still, that's young. He had to learn lessons. But it wasn't a great look. And it is a legit TKO loss. He has lost by submission a few times, 3 times altogether. One was a rear naked choke to this guy, Ari Santos. And then there were 2 fights that I did see where he got heel hooked, and also he was put in a darce. Even if it says a triangle choke, that's bullshit. It was a darce. But those were 2 decent guys, and they were 10 years ago. So, whatever. And I don't know how decent they were, but either way, he's a guy that has not been finished in 7 years by anything, and he hasn't been submitted in over 10 years, or about 10 years. So he's been able to deal with everything that's come his way, and most of it he gets done dealing with everything defensively on level 1, which is just takedown defense. He's got really good takedown defense. He's a long, tall guy. Maybe doesn't have the most physicality on his side, and he can be muscled and crowded in the clinch, but he defends well. And he's a guy that, again, knows he's got that fight ending power, the equalizer in his back pocket. So I do think this will be a fight where Charlie Radtke is winning. I think he's going to be winning with his pressure, and if he's able to mix it up, winning with his grappling. But I do think Carlos Prates is the more dangerous guy, and I envision him landing something dangerous or his takedown defense holding up for him and then landing a bunch of shit that's dangerous and winning this fight with his striking. I'm going to look for the props again because I think that's his primary path to victory. And as for Charlie Radtke, I don't even know if I could isolate it to one path to victory or not. Decision maybe would be my first pick for Charlie Radtke, but if he's dominating on the ground, that could mean submission and even TKO. And on the feet, even though I think he's outgunned in general, he's got an incredible weapon there in his left hook. So I wouldn't even know what to bet on for Charlie Radtke as far as props go. If I was to play anything, it would just be his money line, I guess. But yeah, the pick and the bet eventually will be Carlos Prates by knockout. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.